Friendship.
Friendship plays a key role in our lives.
What do we expect when we get into friendship?
Be there for one another without expecting something.
Now we have escalated points to something we call toxicity in friendship.
Most people, they tend to take friendship as something that they can gain something out of it.
And again, as we get into friendship, are we talking about what will I get in return? Sasi huyu mwenye hata he doesn't care. Si mimi, unataka mimi nionekane mimi ndio sim. I can't do that. Or what will I give in that friendship?
Love doesn't keep a record of wrongs.
Ladies and gentlemen, listening. Entanglement. And it seems that this other person even does not care what I'm going through. As a matter of fact, the attention upon my life is going down by the day.
We have not allowed Christ to be enough in our lives because He is the cup that never runs dry.
How do we break from entanglement?
Putting this back to Him, back to Christ, us yielding to Him so that He can teach us how to handle friendships.
Is it possible to build generational friendships?
I believe the friendships can also be generational.
What is the need of maintaining a friendship that is headed nowhere? In the veil of if I tell this person they will be hurt. Or are friendships for a season and a time?
The other party does not tell you that you are wrong. That's toxic friendship. Because you're just lying to each other. And this friendship is not leading to anywhere.
Today we are diving deeper into a discussion of how to outgrow or how to grow into friendship and relationships.
Let's give each other feedback. Like, tell me, Chepto, I think you mentioned you want to do masters after your degree.
Ladies and gentlemen, listen in. Hello and how are you? What an honor to be back again on this seat to discuss about the topic that we began on the previous episode concerning friendship. And today our focus is a little bit headed towards how do we break these attachments that comes with friendship, because we realize that there are days that will come and this friendship may not be there. And again, how do we build up friendship that can stay for days and years to come? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode. Karibu sana Chepto. Karibu sana. And I want us now to pick up this discussion from where we left it in the previous episode. How do we break from attachment? How do we break from entanglement? You realize that this person has been in this point and in a situation whereby they've been able to stay with this person for a very long time. They've been able to walk a journey together, but then it has gotten to a point whereby this thing is not tenable. We cannot be able to walk this journey together again. But then maybe one person is okay, maybe the other person is left back into the attachment that these people had. So basically, how do you break away from such a situation?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, once again, I'm grateful for this. And basing on what you have said, I think the first thing we need to really come to terms with is friendships are seasonal. I think that's one thing that never hits our mind, that friendships are seasonal. But when we come to terms with that, it will help us and save us a lot from how to deal with attachments, how to deal with entanglements, because I feel that we are all human beings, we are social beings. And when I remember when I was in high school or when I was in primary, if my teacher could take my desk mate and tell her maybe to go to the front, seat at the front or sit at the back, I could feel, can we negotiate? And that is how attachments can be at times. It's very hard to come to realization that friendships can be seasonal. And one thing I would encourage us to do is perhaps maybe you are giving a lot of energy on it, but the other person is not giving it energy, or perhaps it becomes toxic. And you just have to let it go. I would really encourage someone to give themselves time. We've had people mentioning that time is a healer. Just give yourself time. time to really heal from that, time to really come to realization that friendships can be seasonal. And one thing you can do is also extending grace to yourself. Learn to extend grace to yourself that I give my best. I give my best. At a time when this person needed me the most, I give my best. At a time when he or she needed a shoulder to lean on, I give my best. You see, when you tell yourself such words, it becomes easy because you learn to realize that you give your best and you are able to extend grace to yourself. And part of extending grace to yourself is helping yourself realize that you're not a bad person.
Sure.
He or she didn't leave because you're a bad person. Because I feel at times we are sobbed with thoughts, we are sobbed with a lot of questions like, what did I do? What happened? As long as you know you did the right thing at the moment and you couldn't take this to another year or take this for forever, for generation. But I think you just need to give yourself, extend grace to yourself and just tell yourself that I give my best. At a time when this person needed me the most, I think I give my best. Another thing is we've always learned to take it to the Lord in prayer. And I know we have been told, we always know that the things that we take it to the Lord in prayer are the big things per se. But even these little things, we need to have conversations with God because He created us. He knows He knows us. He knows we have emotions, we have feelings. And that's why I encourage people to take it to the Lord in prayer. For me, I can have conversations with God like I am talking to my friend. I go to God and I tell God, you know what? I have this friend of mine. We've been friends for this period of time and it seems that it's not working anymore. Of course, I feel so heavy. I am sobbed with emotions. I feel like it's hard for me to learn to let go. I'm asking myself a lot of questions. What did I do? What happened? But I come to you as your child in need of healing, in need of you to help me. Because I have realized the many questions we have, God has answers for them. We can look for answers elsewhere, but our God, who is our creator, He has all those for us. And I think, when we realize that friendships can be seasonal at times, we will save ourselves a lot, big time. Because, I know you will even tell me you're not talking to some of the people you were together in high school. And they were your friends. It doesn't mean that they were not your friends so that you're not talking. They were your friends, but perhaps you're just talking to two or one, and you come to term that friendships are seasonal. Even some go abroad. Yeah. And it's hard to keep up because their time is different from ours. Like I have a friend of mine who is not here. We studied together in high school. We were so close. But we can't keep in touch the way we used to keep in touch because their time is different from ours. But I'm learning that it's not that I have made a mistake or she made a mistake. It's just that it's not working. Yeah, and just also, extending grace to ourselves.
And also, there is this thing that I would like also we add on top of that even in the journey of healing, many people tend to get to a place of hating these people because this thing has gotten to a point whereby it is really hard on me, and it seems that this other person even does not care what I'm going through. As a matter of fact, the attention upon my life is going down by the day, and actually people tend to take offense. And basically this is what I usually tell people, that in your journey of healing or in your journey of detaching from things you got entangled to, be careful not to take offense on people. Always realize that you as a person, you are also capable of doing the same. And also picking from what you mentioned about knowing that not all these friendships will stay. So actually, basically, it's giving somebody a mental strength and a mental preparedness to know that I am getting into this. I may not be able to know how it will end, but then as long as we are in this, let's give the best. If at all God brought this person for a season and a time like this, let's ensure that the purposes of God are accomplished.
Yeah,
let's make the best memories. But if at all a day will come, either distance will separate us, or the things that do come between people will bring a separation, kill the energy, kill what we had together. We will be careful to bring this relationship maybe to a close, or maybe to a slow down with a lot of grace.
True.
With a lot of grace. Also, something else that I really felt, that many people actually are usually caught up in this, that they tend now to start even talking bad about this other person. Like, oh, na vile tulifanya hivi, na vile tulifanya hivi, oh, siku hizi sijui ako na maringo. But then you come to realize, you're talking about this thing, talking bad about them, but at times it doesn't affect them.
Yeah.
Most of the time it is affecting you.
Sure.
And basically trying to remove the light now from this person and bring the light to you. And being so sincere with yourself, that I am in this situation. You began by telling us, be sincere to God. Go to God in prayer and tell Him, this is what I'm going through. It is hard on me. I cannot be able to carry this alone. But then again, for me, I also believe that there is a place of you coming to a place of acceptance. That God, not God again, now it is you to yourself. I agree, this thing is on me, and we need to fix it.
Sure.
Because the more you keep on postponing it, the more this thing keeps on piling up on you.
True.
So you need to get to a point of accepting that, yes, this situation was there, but it's no longer there. How do we walk from this point onwards? A point of accepting.
True.
So basically summarizing everything that you've spoken about, extend grace to yourself.
True.
Take these things to God in prayer. Also be careful not to take offense on this person. And also accept that this thing has happened. Accept we have to move on. And also accept again that friendships are seasonal. Not all will end up to the future that you may try to imagine. And also for me, I may also tend to believe that also as God is bringing people into our lives, He brings them most at times with a reason, a purpose, and even at times for a season. Like not every person comes into our lives to stay forever. I'm trying to pick out the relationship that Jonathan and David had. You realize that as much as these people were together for a very long time, these people never ended up together. Jonathan died. But then Jonathan served his purpose in the life of David. So basically coming to a point of understanding that number one, we don't come into places of friendship because it's time to vibe. Basically getting to a point of opening our eyes to beyond the physical, there is also the spiritual. Getting to understand that God will never bring people together without a reason and without a purpose. And actually for me, I tend to believe, and I would also like you to comment on that, that I tend to believe that God has a mind, like the moment God is bringing people, there must be a reason why He's bringing these people together. And many a times we tend to miss out in the purposes of God simply because we are unable to first of all understand, God, why did you make our path cross? You've heard about destiny helpers, destiny connectors. But then again, we tend to even push away our friends. Huyu anakaa kwa destiny connector. You come to realize that at times, the moment you're able to understand, God, why did you bring this person into my life? You'll not only be vibing, but you'll also be vibrating into the emotions of God, into the purposes of God. And even when a season will lapse, it will not kill you because in this time we were serving the purposes of God.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I'm really loving what you're mentioning. And maybe to begin, something else just came up through my mind, that to stop idolizing friendship. One of the things that we find ourselves entangled and even it's hard for us to let go is that we have idolized these friendships. I have come to realize that we need to allow Christ to be enough for us first. When He is enough, even when we have this type of relationship with human beings, it becomes easier for us to manage. But I have come to realize at times it is us who have idolized this friendship until we feel like we cannot do without this. But you know, the only thing or the only person we cannot do without is God, because He is our creator. He is the one who molded us, and He's our Father. We need Him more than anything. And I come to realize that part of the mistakes that we do or we make is we idolize friendships. We make this to be our God. You see that people say that idols is having a certain, form in your room and your worship. No. Currently it's about the things such as money. We can even get to a point whereby friendships can be our idol, or even other things. And I have come to realize that sometimes it is our cup that is not filled by God. That's when we start feeling so bad about it. We start feeling like, how do I deal with this? And this person left. Because we have not allowed Christ to be enough in our lives. Because He is the cup that never runs dry. Yeah, when He is enough, He allows us to learn how to manage these relationships with human beings. Because we know it is in Him alone we anchor more, and then we learn to manage this. Yeah, and
So something you mentioned actually very, very interesting. You realize that Jesus is the cup that does not run dry. That the moment we teach ourselves to drink from Him, or to be filled from Him, whatever we are extending to these other people is not mine. I am extending what I've been picking from Christ. You come to realize that actually, by the way, you made me actually remember something so important. That many people were not able to walk in a godly friendship simply because they have not, first of all, you're trying to pick out from this person what they cannot be able to give. There is a kind of love that you're trying to drain from these people that they cannot be able to give. There is an attention you're trying to pick from these people that they cannot be able to give. What if we shift our focus? Rather than trying to pick from these people, try to pick from God. That this attention you're trying to pick from this person, why don't I pick it from God? You know, the Bible says in the book of Isaiah 54 verse 10 that the love of God is a faithful love. A love that cannot be able, a love that can never end, a love that is inexhaustible. One thing I believe, if at all there is actually an ultimate healer to an entanglement, is somebody turning to the love of God. Allow this love to consume you to a point whereby any other person, even if they love me, even if they do not love me, there is a void that is already filled. You realize that one thing actually, and I've heard many people talking about, is there is a void deep within people that will always ask for emotion, asking for love, asking for attention. But then most of the times, the people we are asking for these things cannot be able to give back. Why don't we just plug into a fountain of love? Something that will never end. Because one thing I know and I tend to believe is we will love differently if we love to draw from the love of God. As we had mentioned also on the previous episode concerning Romans 5:5 says that the love of God has been shed abroad in our hearts. We want to love the Jesus way, but first of all, can we experience this love? Because I cannot come to you, teach you mathematics that I have not learned myself. It is not possible. Basically, I need to get to a point whereby I have experienced this love so much to a point whereby your actions will never be a bother to me. This is how I believe that Jesus was able to die for a people on the cross. For a people who are completely against Him, a people who are nailing Him on that cross, and He's very confident to tell God, forgive them. That it will get to a point whereby I'm a wonder to people. Why does this person still show up and there is nothing I am doing? Why is this person still so concerned with me and I'm the worst of people? But then you come to realize in the long run, people will always yield to true love. Because, yes, I realize that maybe the energy was not being given back. But then this person is effortlessly giving back energy. So in the long run, by the way, there is something I do believe concerning love. That love is able to break the hardest of hearts.
Yeah, true.
That it can get to a point whereby my heart is so hard, but then because I have come, and actually by the way, this is something I've realized, even the moment you're preaching the gospel to people, you've gotten to a point to somebody who has never heard about Christ. They even don't want to hear anything about Christ. But tell them about the love of Jesus. You just come to realize that these people, they may not even get born again, but then there is a yielding. I tend to believe that nobody is beyond the touch of love. As hard as you may feel, or as far as you may feel, as hard as you may feel that you cannot be able to respond to love, I tend to believe that nobody is beyond the expression of love.
True. True. And that is so interesting. You've mentioned about him filling our cup. And just as you've said, I cannot give you something that I have not experienced. And that is what is lacking in friendship. We want to express love that we've not gotten. And when we express that love, it becomes something that we are working on our own. But it is not the love of Christ. And I tend to feel and believe that we need to yield to Christ more so that He can fill our cup. He can fill us with His love. The Bible says God is love, and He knows how to help us love one another, and He calls us to devote one another in love. And when we go to Him, ask Him to fill our cup with His love, our cup will overflow. And when we go to Him and ask Him to grant us wisdom concerning friendship, we'll be able to learn how to manage this kind of friendship. When we go and yield to Him, He will teach us how to forgive our friends. He will teach us how to respect and honor our friends, because I believe the problem is we are yielding to the wrong people. We ought to yield to Him first so that this can overflow. He says that out of the heart, out of the abundance of the heart, it flows. And when we fill our heart with His love, when we yield to Him and ask Him to teach us how to forgive, we'll be able to overflow and radiate His glory even in our friendship. We'll be able to understand the purpose of this friendship. Because how can you know the purpose of this friendship if you have not yielded to the one who connected both of you?
Sure.
Yeah, and the more we know Him, the more we get His attitude, the more we get His mindset, the more we understand the purposes of this friendship. And so we are all pointing this back to Him, back to Christ, us yielding to Him so that He can teach us how to handle friendships and how to love one another. Because let me tell you, Alan, we are so bad. None of us is good. Given a chance, it's not easy for us to love. Unless the love of Christ overflows in our hearts, we cannot do this. And that's why I'm really pointing out back to Christ to teach us even to understand the purpose of this friendship. Perhaps you're just here for this season to help this person maybe even know how he can choose his career.
Sure.
Yeah, and when that season closes, you get to another season. And when we fail to yield to Him, we will not know the seasons. We will not know the seasons that God has created for us. Yeah, and we are still pointing back to Christ. True.
And the reason is now guiding this conversation to a point whereby we were asking ourselves, what is the purpose of friendship? Why should people be together? Because you come to realize, whatever you have, faith, is not what I have.
True.
And what I have is not what you have.
Yeah.
Basically, I tend to believe that friendship is supposed to be something that builds people up. But then again, many people miss that point. Because how many people have been in friendship for 4 years, but then if one day we sit down and look at what have we added to each other, you cannot be able to tell. You can only remember the stories you used to talk. Stories are not bad.
Yeah.
But then beyond the talking, beyond the tours that you will do, beyond the joy that and the memories you will create, what value are you bringing out of each other? And actually this one brings me to a point of being so much intentional with friendship.
Yeah.
When we met 2 years ago, this is where I was.
Yeah.
2 years after, what have I added? Is it money? Is it wisdom? Is it knowledge? Is it my general aspect of life? What have I picked from you? What have you picked from me? Again, back again to connecting to the purposes of God. Because one thing, this thing can be seasonal.
Yeah.
But then at the end of it all, have we accomplished the mind of God concerning this whole situation?
True.
That can we sit and look back into 5 years down the line and say that if at all I never met you, Chepto, this and this could not have happened in my life. If I never met you, I could not be able to talk the way I am talking today. So I want us to drive this conversation to a point whereby then how intentional should we be when it comes to friendship?
Yeah.
What are the things that we are supposed maybe to cultivate on to ensure that we are in focus? You know, the Bible says, make use of every opportunity, for the days are evil.
Yeah.
How do I make sure that one day when I hear that, by the way, Chepto has gone to US, I will say, by the way, beyond the joy, I picked this and this from her.
True.
How do you maintain the focus of friendship beyond the making fun?
Yeah, that's interesting. And let me tell you, having fun is basic minimum. It's minimum. We have much more that we can achieve, and that's one thing that we don't know. We think that when I am your friend, it's just about hanging out, going for dates, going for outings, and going for events together, showing up as friends so that you can't be lonely. But there's far much beyond. And one thing that will help us to keep on track, that this friendship is making us to bear fruit, is making us to grow, is learn to talk things out. Learn to talk things out. Like, let's meet and say that these are the goals that I have. This is what I want to achieve in the next 5 years, in the next 2 years. This is what I am purposing to do perhaps this semester. I want to do this, and this. Perhaps I want to read 4 books in this semester. I want to go somewhere this semester. I want to really nurture myself when it comes to maybe public speaking, when it comes to even learning how to ride a bicycle is part of what you need to do. And I think we need to sit down, formalize things. You see, one problem that really happens is we don't formalize things. We just assume we are friends, it's okay. It's okay. We don't talk over our goals. We don't talk about the things that I want to do and how can I be able to achieve. You see, when you formalize things, it's easier to keep each other accountable when you're able to formalize things. And then the other thing we need to learn is giving each other feedback. Let's give each other feedback. Like, tell me, Chepto, I think you mentioned you want to do masters after your degree. We're in the second year. I have not seen you enrolling in masters. Let's give each other feedback. You see, one thing we say, oh, I don't want to ask them. How will they see me? How do they feel? Am I minding their business too much? No. Let's give each other feedback. If you're doing well, like, wow, you mentioned that you want to read a book, and you've told me you finished that book. I'm so proud of you. Let's giving each other feedback. And the other side of it can be, you told me you want to read 4 books this semester. I have come to your house. I have not even seen any book. Like, what's the progress? You see, the problem with us is just we want to play it safe. We want to be soft on each other, but we don't want to ask each other authentic questions, deep questions, like hard questions. Where are you? Are you doing it right? Perhaps you're in a relationship. Are you doing it right? When was the last time you guys communicated? Deep questions, and it helps you to grow. And I think the major 2 things is we need to formalize things, because if you don't tell me your plans, there's nowhere we are heading. The other thing is we need to learn to give each other feedback.
Also picking
Yeah.
out again from that, there is something, also picking from what you're talking about, the value of communication,
Yeah.
and the value in the communication.
True.
Because you realize that many times you're meeting, have you heard about Kamau, what he has done?
Yeah.
But what he, it's not bad to, it's not bad
I
to have
get
such
it.
conversations.
Yeah.
But then again, the value of communications that we are having,
Yeah.
the things that we sit to talk about, are they adding value to you? Are they
Yeah.
adding value to me?
Yeah.
Secondly, what I've picked again from what you are talking about is the art of holding each other up.
True.
That there is something you promise that you will do.
Yeah.
Have you done it? You've not done it. What is your plan?
Yeah.
What is holding you back? But then again, there is something that would that I really felt that we should point out is this situation that we call, I'll not tell this person this thing because they will be hurt. What is the need of maintaining a friendship that is headed nowhere in the veil of, if I tell this person they will be hurt? You will sit and see your friend headed in a totally wrong direction.
Yeah.
But then again, either you do not care, or there is this fear, if I tell them,
Yeah.
they may not carry this thing lightly.
Yeah. True.
But then you come to realize at this point in time, you're not a friend. Because why should I sit and look at this person headed in a totally wrong direction,
Yeah.
and there is nothing completely I am doing concerning this situation?
True.
Honesty in friendship.
Yeah.
That I'm able to see, by the way, it has been 4 days you've not been praying. What is happening? You know this is dangerous to your spiritual life.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, there are some 2 people that I saw you having friendship with. It's not that I'm jealous, but then if you keep on walking that direction, you will lose it.
Yeah.
Like the place of honest conversations. There is importance in having these conversations we are having. Let them be adding value,
Yeah.
but then beyond the value, let's also be honest with each other. That if you take this path, you will lose it in the long run. You will lose it in the long run. And then again, maybe to shift again into a point of, now you got into a point whereby we really desire that this friendship will stay for a long time.
Yeah.
Nobody foresees or nobody hopes that after 5 years, this thing will be history.
I know.
Like, what is it that you're supposed to do to build long-time friendship?
Yeah.
Or what is it that what are these small things, or what are the big things that are supposed to be done by friends to ensure that beyond 5 years we are still friends? Because we've seen people who have been friends from their childhood. These people have built on empires together. They have seen each other struggle. Towards many years down the line, they can be able to account every single day that they were together. So the question is, how do we get to such a point whereby we just agreed that yes, these things, we have agreed that we need to build a friendship that may stay for long. Maybe not forever, but for a long time. So what are we supposed to do in that regard?
So much for that. I mentioned to my friend, I think it's 2 days ago, I mentioned to her that I want us to be friends until even our children to be friends, and even our children, our grandchildren to be friends, because I believe the friendships can also be generational. There are some things that we need to really do. The most important thing is to pray for this friendship. But aside from praying, there's action to be done. There are some things we can't, we can't just say that we will just pray and assume things will work out. We need hands-on. We need to work on other things like communication. Let me tell you, if we don't communicate with you oftenly, we will lose it all. If we don't communicate, even if it's not daily, at least be able to build a culture of communication. Build a culture of communication whereby you can talk, you can even meet, plan for a meetup, and we communicate. Like, where are we? Even if when you're just meeting to know how you're doing, it bonds you. It helps you to create that bond. The other thing is we need to be very intentional. Let me tell you, if you're not intentional, we are not doing it. even if you're not intentional, let's put this to another flip of the story. Like, even in your academics, if you're not intentional with it, you can miss to go to class and it will drain you. But we need to be very intentional that I want this friendship to grow. I want this friendship to be there for the longest time that God will allow us to be here. Let's be intentional. Let's be intentional to meet. Let's be intentional to give each other feedback. Let's be intentional to invest in this. You see, when you're intentional about something, come what may, you'll be able to do it. Yeah. The other thing is we really need to keep each other, to give each other feedback. That, you see, if you're in a friendship that the other party does not tell you that you are wrong, that's toxic friendship. Because you're just lying to each other, and this friendship is not leading to anywhere. So when we are able to be honest with ourselves and give each other feedback, it really helps us. I think the other thing we need to do is, let's write down the values that we want in this friendship. These are our values. Let's just formalize things. Let's not do things. I know they mentioned this in Kikuyu or Kyundu the way. Let's formalize things. Let's formalize things and write down. These are some of the values we have in our friendship. We can't tolerate this. Yes, and we want to be intentional in this. But one thing that, just to maybe summarize, the things that stands out for me is being intentional in investing in this friendship, communication, and part of communication means giving each other feedback. Because let me tell you, if you don't communicate, it's dying. You're losing it all. And also praying. Pray for this friendship that God will help you to be there for the longest time, because He's a keeper. He's the one who sustains us. Yes.
And also, even as we finish up, extending grace.
Yeah.
That we just learn to extend grace.
True.
That there are days that this other person will fall short.
Yeah.
There are days that they will not measure up to the person that you really desire that they should measure up to. And on those days, when these people are at their weakest, are you able to extend grace to them? Are you able to understand them? And also, lastly, showing up. Actually, for me, I believe that is actually the ultimate of it all. You show up.
Yeah.
Show up for them.
Yeah.
They are in need, show up for them.
True.
They are not in need, still show up for them.
Yeah.
Be there for your friends.
True.
That in whichever circumstance, that if at all there is a day they will get to a situation, they will know the first person I can count on is a friend of mine who is somewhere. From our previous episode, there is somebody who asked a question. Do we have category of friends? Do we have people we call business friends? Do we have political friends? Do we have investment friends, academic friends? And if at all these do exist, how do we strike a balance between them? Because you come to realize that yes, we need people of value, people who walk in the moral that we uphold. But then you come to realize that my academic friends may not really match the values that I really need for somebody like me who is born again.
Yeah.
My political friends may not be in sync with the kind of values that I do uphold as a person.
Yeah.
So the question is, if at all they do exist, and if at all we should uphold such friendships, at what point should we say, by the way, this friendship is supposed to head to this point?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And honestly, truth be told, we can have various categories of friends. For instance, Alan, you might be doing so well in academics, and another person might be doing so well in leadership, and I am purposing to equip myself with skills in leadership, or I want to do well in my academics, or I want to do well in business, because you find there are other people who do well even in various areas. We can't deny that God has created us with different abilities, with different giftings, and we are able to do well in a certain area. In as much as we can be told to be a jack of all trades, there is one thing specifically that you are so good at, or it's your thing. It's your thing. You can even just wake up in the midnight and do that. And so I understand that it is possible to have various categories of friends. That is, you can have your friends who are doing so well in business, you can have friends who are doing well in academics, you can have friends when it comes to just matter leadership, or there are friends that you know that these are your people. These are your, like, let me call it inner courts. Yeah, these are your friends that you can share your deep stuff with. So one of the things that we need to do in order to manage this is, let's have boundaries. It's very necessary we have boundaries. We know that I have certain friends who are doing so well in business, and I have certain friends who are doing so well in academics, that my aim is to do well in my academics, and I am purposing to have these friends who will help me to grow in that area. And I have these friends who are doing so well in business, and I know they can teach me how to do well in business. And perhaps I know there are certain friends that I'm able to share my deep stuff with. Because when you learn to have boundaries, it helps you to manage these friends. Because you'll be able to know, I'm only talking to these people concerning business issues. I am talking to this person on matters leadership alone. I am not sharing my inner stuff, because it will save us from a lot of trouble, because you find people mix up friends, and perhaps they're just acquaintances. You've not really bonded well with them, and you start sharing some deep stuff with them, and it brings a lot of trauma to you, or you find out that they talk out your stuff to everyone, because you missed out on boundaries. You missed out to understand that these friends are only business oriented, and they're not your inner court that you can be able to share your deep stuff with. Or perhaps these friends are helping me on matters academics. So one thing that is coming out clearly is we need to have boundaries so that we'll be able to manage. And I would also encourage someone not to have a lot of friends when it comes to different categories. If you see someone is doing so well in business, pick one or two.
Alright.
Don't pick 10, because it will be so hard for you to manage. Because remember, you have friends also who are doing well in academics, and you would want a friend in that area. Pick one or two in every category, because it helps you to manage those friends. Because when you have a lot of them, it will be even so hard to check up on them. It will be even hard for you to meet. Perhaps you want to grow in a certain area. You'll find one area is really being outweighed by another. Perhaps leadership is being outweighed by another thing. So pick one or two and learn to have boundaries, because it will help you to manage those categories of friends. And it is not bad to have various categories, because we are aiming to equip ourselves to become better, and we need friends who are all-rounded. And perhaps you cannot get this from one person, so it's possible also to choose other friends who are doing well in those areas.
Nice. Actually, basically bringing me to this point of every relationship should be relationships of value, and a relationship directed with purpose. And also now just another thing that was also asked by someone in the last episode about, then how do I make friends? Because it's not a walk in the park for every person around. It's not every person will just walk up to someone and they just click. So for this other person who does not know, this person is not a sanguine, maybe is a melancholy, this introvert people, how do they make friends?
I know that's a very tough question. That's how do you make friends? Let me go back. Before I joined campus, I used to pray so much about this, and I used to tell God, you know how the stories that they tell you about campus kuna vitu mbaya mbaya, and I knew it all begins with my friends. The company that I would choose would really matter. And so I used to pray and tell God, I'm praying that I'll find someone that we will connect. I am really praying that I will find someone that we can bond and become friends. And that happened. I came to campus, we connected with a friend of mine. We connected with her. We were placed in the same room that night alone. And you see, the next day, she was told that she's not supposed to be in that room. and she was taken to another room. I didn't take that as something to take for granted. I knew this was an opportunity for God to connect me with her, because we've been friends since day one. We talked, we connected, and I could see that we have the same values. And from that day, I knew that God had connected me with someone who I can really hold on to even in campus. And I can tell someone that it's okay to take it to the Lord in prayer. Ask God, because He's the one who knows you. He knows your personality. Of course, He knows you're an introvert, and He knows it's hard for you to socialize with people. He will connect you with someone. But aside from that, it's also good to take action. Let me tell you, Alan, we cannot be in an event and you're just seated. Even the person who is next to you, say hi. Even if you're a person of few words. I know I talk a lot, but I know there are people who are the quiet people, but try at least to connect and even say hi to the person who's seated next to you. Part of us making friends is socializing. When we socialize, we are able to network, and you'll be able to understand that, oh, I think I match to his or her personality. I think we can click. But if you don't socialize, you will never know whether you can click. So I would encourage people, if you kindly socialize, be it in class, be it in where you are, where you're living. Imagine you're living in around a place and even don't know your neighbor. Like, how can we help you to even find friends? It's good you even connect, socialize. And then the other thing I would tell people to try to be an outgoing person. Show up for that event. Don't just stay indoors. They've called people for a birthday. Show up for that event. They've asked people, we have a career talk. Go for that event. You see, it is in those events where we can find friends. I cannot find a friend in my room. I'm just alone. I can't. When I go and when I show up to that event, I'll be able to meet people where we can connect and become friends. So I encourage people to socialize, pray about it, and even be outgoing. Go show up for those events. That's when you will meet friends, because we interact with people in social places. Yes. Yeah, I think I have mentioned those. I know there are more. Yeah.
What a nice conversation you have had. I would like you just to look directly to the camera and also just give a parting shot concerning friendship.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I have really enjoyed the conversation, and it's amazing to understand that friendships are divine and they are for a season, and God has given us an opportunity to even be Christ-like through friendships. So let's take up this opportunity and allow God to work on us. Allow God to reveal the things that He wants to reveal in our lives through friendship. Yes, I am really excited and I am happy. Thank you.
Okay, nice. Thank you so much for being here. And yes, it has been an honor. A great conversation here. And if at all you followed from the very beginning, episode 1. By the way, if you have not watched episode 1, be sure to get back to that episode. A rich conversation concerning friendship. A lot of wisdom, my people. So basically, this is what we're talking about, and this is what we're saying. That friendship can stay. But then, if at all a friendship is going to stay to the latter, or to years, or to days ahead, we need to be so much intentional.
Yeah.
And at the center of it all, we are saying that Christ should be the ultimate guide and the ultimate formula of what friendship should be like. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alan Gitao, and this is the BC Podcast.